진하게 맞기 쉽게 한번 풀어봐.
불가능한 거 아무것도 없어.
오빠, 초콜릿 좋아해?
Keycat, it's 3 in the morning. What are you doing? If you love Korean music and movies that much, why don't you just learn Korean? Come on, it's easy. I'll show you. So you want to learn Korean? No problem. Just use one of my many books. Oh, you want to learn for free? No problem. Here's how you can start learning Korean right now and what steps you should take. Starting with step 1. Learn the Korean alphabet known as Hangul before you do anything else. Yeah, you can go to the bathroom first. Learning how to read and write Hangul just takes a few hours. In fact, I have an entire free video series with 100 episodes that can teach you Korean starting from Hangul all the way up to a basic conversational ability. And I'll put a link to that video series as well as everything that I mentioned here in the description box below. And that leads me to step 2. Because nobody learns Korean just by watching a bunch of Korean drama. First, you want to choose a curriculum. A curriculum is an organized list of topics that you'll learn. So grammar, vocabulary, phrases, and everything else. And this can be a textbook or my free video course or online lessons. And once you've chosen a curriculum, follow it and complete every lesson in order. Now, it can be tempting to go out and just buy every book and course that you see, but in the beginning stages, you'll want to focus on just one. And to be honest, as long as you're not following some random GeoCities page for your Korean lessons, it doesn't matter that much what resource you choose. What matters more is moving through the lessons in order so that you can establish a strong foundation. And that brings us to step 3. There's nothing you or I could do with 10,000 vocabulary words and no grammar to put them together. So don't stress too much about memorizing a lot of vocabulary in the early stages. It's more important that you're able to actually use the vocabulary that you know, and grammar is how you'll do that. So whenever you learn something new, practice by making an example sentence, either by just talking out loud to yourself or with a language partner if you have one. Now again, do learn vocabulary, but only what you can practice. But focus on learning grammar as well as essential particles, and then using that vocabulary will become easier. And now for step 4. Not like that. Now, I don't mean that you'll learn Korean without actually studying. You won't. But what you can do is focus on the things that kids are taught when they're learning their first language. Things like how to count and tell the time, the colors, how to describe things, expressing your likes and dislikes, introducing yourself, making requests, asking simple questions, and giving simple explanations, as well as basic customs and culture. You need a diaper change? Really? 1 second. Now, all of these things should be in whatever curriculum that you're using, but if they're not, you can feel free to just write them down and learn them anytime. And now for step 5. Find some way, it doesn't matter how, to practice the things that you're learning. In the past, this would mean either traveling to Korea or finding a Korean friend, but nowadays there are many new ways to practice Korean. First, the way that's free. You can try out the apps HelloTalk or Tandem to find a language exchange friend. And I've used both of these apps to make several of my real-life Korean friends. But like any exchange app or website, these apps can sometimes be hit or miss, so your mileage may vary. Another way to practice is by joining a Korean-speaking community for something that you're interested in. For example, by following Korean streamers that you enjoy and leaving comments, or by sending short messages to your favorite Korean celebrity. Now, you might or might not get a reply, but it's still practice. And now for some ways to practice that are less than free. You can hire a tutor, really just anyone who's a native speaker, regardless of their qualifications, and pay them to practice with you. And the best part about this is that unlike a free language exchange partner, a paid tutor isn't going to just ignore you if the conversation doesn't go anywhere. I mean, they can, but then you just fire them. Good question, Keycat. And you might be wondering as well, how am I supposed to practice Korean if I can't speak it? And the answer is poorly. Well, at least in the beginning, don't expect to be having fluent conversations. Also, this might sound a bit shocking, but I think that it's fine to speak with your language exchange partner in your own native language. Not always, but most of the time. And to just practice what you're learning in Korean as much as you can. But understand that practicing in the beginning won't be much more than just simple greetings and basic sentences. And that's okay. And now we're ready for step 6. In fact, I recommend making a study plan for yourself and deciding how much time you're going to spend learning. And I'll include a link in the description with a full guide to making a study plan, as well as this template that you can do that with. Also, set goals for yourself, where you want to be after a month or 6 months and so on, and then divide those up into weekly goals that you can focus on. Once you have your weekly goals, then make daily goals that can get you there, and you're done. Yeah, not like that. Next, decide how much time you want to spend studying. I recommend about 30 minutes a day if you're a new beginner, but the more the merrier. Yeah, are you even listening, KiCat? Okay, now for step 7. As much as possible, immerse yourself in Korean. Yeah, okay, I'm just gonna stop you, KiCat, before you do what I know you're already going to do. And you're already doing it. I'm not saying to watch Korean TV all day, every day. I wish it were that easy, but you should definitely add some immersion resources to your learning, preferably content with Korean subtitles and that are easier to understand. Because if you can't understand anything in what you're watching, it's probably not helping. Now, I recommend Korean variety shows as they use conversational Korean, and many of them come with subtitles built in.
잠깐만, 이거 무료야? 이거 무료야?
But if variety isn't your thing, check out podcasts. And I'll put a link in the description to my favorite podcast app that's also completely free. Or if you're interested in reading resources, check out Donghwa Kids News and Naver Webtoons. Now, it's called Donghwa Kids News, but the level is still quite high and makes great reading practice. And finally, I also recommend finding a Korean YouTube channel with content that you enjoy. Personally, I watch several YouTubers that make videos related to my hobbies, and I find myself watching them even when I'm not trying to study. But it is studying. Now, all of these variety shows, podcasts, and YouTube videos will give you exposure to real Korean and will help your ears to get adjusted to the language. So I think now we're ready for step 8. Get yourself a notebook to write down grammar, new vocabulary words, and just to take notes, because an organized student is a happy student. Too cheesy? Because an organized student actually learns the language. Use colored pens, highlighters, whatever helps you to learn better, because having everything neat and organized will just make it that much faster to find what you're looking for. And for reviewing your notes, I recommend making flashcards. Not those random flashcards, but flashcards of things that you're learning. And I'll post a video in the description of my full guide for how you can more effectively review your vocabulary. Okay, so let's move on to some more resources with step 9. Get yourself some more tools for learning. First, get yourself a good dictionary. Preferably an online dictionary. In fact, the best online dictionary, Naver Dictionary, is completely free. And I'll also link to a video where you can learn how to get the most out of Naver Dictionary. Another tool that you should have is Anki, which is a program for making digital flashcards. Digital flashcards will come in handy, especially after you've learned a few hundred vocabulary words. And I have so many more tools that I could share. I could actually make a whole entire new video all about language learning tools. Yeah, I think I'll do that. And that brings us to the final step, step 10. The Korean language is going to get difficult. Now, hold on. I've been through it, others have been through it, and it felt like the more that I learned, the harder learning Korean became. Today, you're just learning the alphabet, and tomorrow you're learning how to introduce yourself, and before you know it, you're learning about politeness levels, passive speech, and tons of grammar that just doesn't seem to translate well into English. But if you ever feel like giving up, don't, because learning Korean is worth it, and everyone who's learned Korean has been where you are before, including myself. It does get more difficult at times, but if you just keep going, you'll get past any hurdle that the Korean language can throw at you. And as always, I'll be right here to help. Thanks for watching, and also thanks to all of my Patreon and YouTube supporters for helping me to make this video. I'll see you again next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐. And step 11, subscribe to my YouTube.